shit, and I'm gonna talk about it. You can listen to it or not. I don't really give a fuck if this product's hot. Yeah. If you are sucking the devil's lettuce through a straw made out of North America's original cash crop, and it isn't a Brothers Broadleaf, what are you doing? Let's talk about it. Recently, a company I have been a customer of for a long time sent me some extra stuff in the mail as kind of a thing of appreciation. And so I thought it would be cool to talk about them on this episode of Free Shits a company send me. Today we're talking about Brothers Broadleaf, based out of Florida. They're a small company owned and operated by two brothers who have been in the cigar making business for over 3 generations, or 3 generations exactly. I can't remember. I'm not a brand ambassador. I just like their cigars. So what's cool about these is I don't know if anyone here has any history smoking blunts. I like to smoke blunts. I can't drink, so sometimes a blunt scurries me up and screws me up a little bit more than a joint would in kind of a fun way. So I enjoy blunts. Probably not healthy to smoke tobacco, but that's a whole other subject. Brothers Broadleaf is very, very delicious. Some things that set them apart from other companies that provide Bluntwraps: they don't have any unnatural flavors, for example. So the only flavored blunt that they have is a blunt that's been soaked in bourbon barrels. So it's a cigar that's been soaked in a bourbon barrel for a period of time. So it's absorbed some of those bourbon smells and stuff, but they don't like infuse their blunts with red number 5 or whatever the fuck makes a blunt, like a tobacco leaf, taste like fruit punch or whatever. They're not doing any of that. So they've got those bourbon-soaked blunts. They're called the Barrel Series. I really enjoy them. But let's talk about the wraps themselves. All of them are good to roll with. So I don't know if you guys have ever had the experience of like breaking open a pack of Great Blackwoods and only getting like 2, maybe 1 good like blunt out of a pack of 5 cigars. That's like super lame sauce. It never feels good. It always makes you feel like you're kind of wasting your money. And I've always been able to roll a perfect blunt out of every Brothers Broadleaf cigar I've ever bought. It's amazing. It's really nice. Now, the other cool thing about them is the innards are wrapped in a separate wrapper. So it's also tobacco, but it's a thinner, like low-quality shade leaf, right? It's not something you would normally roll a blunt out of, unless you're me. And you can re-roll the inners. So a lot of times, I'll buy a 5-pack of blunts, and I usually get 7 blunts out of it because of the inner wraps. You can kind of cut them up and make blunts out of those as well. So it's a really good value for the money. They're a little more expensive than a backwood, for example, but you're getting a higher quality leaf, an even more even burning leaf, a cigar that comes apart incredibly easy, so you can make your blunt. If you're learning to roll blunts, this would probably be the easiest blunt to learn to roll. And for the audience, I've smoked a lot of different tobacco wraps around weed over the years, right? It's a guilty pleasure, but I do enjoy a blunt every now and then. I freaked and milds. I've rolled swishers. The only thing that you've had that I probably haven't had is a Dutch Master. I don't roll Dutchies. I've never rolled a Dutchie. But, I mean, I've rolled everything else. And Brothers Broadleaf is the best tobacco wrap you're ever going to find to roll your weed in. It makes the best blunt, bar none. And they also make a lot of other cool stuff. I can't vouch for all their products, but I use their blunt glue. I used to use Glue Gar, but a lot of times Glue Gar is kind of liquidy. And I know the Brothers Broadleaf stuff will break down too over time if you leave it. But because they make their glue to order, or at least they batch it pretty close to order, it's really thick and goopy when you get it. So it's really easy to use. It doesn't run all over your rolling tray or anything like that. It's pretty sweet. My favorite cigar from them is the Havana. I like it. It's a little bit of a lighter leaf than their full Connecticut broadleaf, the black pack they have. That one, that black pack will kick you in the teeth. If you want to feel like you're smoking the first cigarette you've ever smoked in your life and get high at the same time, that black pack is for you, man. It'll kick you in the teeth like an unfiltered Lucky Strike or like a big Nicaraguan cigar, it'll kick you right in the teeth. And throw weed on top of that, man, you'll be squirrely. It's a little much for me. I usually go for the Havanas, but I also like the black pack. I've only ever smoked 2 of them, though. I really don't go back to them very often. And then on special occasions when I've got a lot of weed, like when I pulled in like 3 pounds or whatever from outside, and I like to get the 10-pack of the bourbon cigars. Now, they do seem to have a higher moisture content than their other wraps, and they're a little harder for me to roll, but I also have neuropathy in my fingers, and I'm not a good blunt roller. Other people are way better at rolling blunts than me, but I love Brothers Broadleaf, and I know that if you're a blunt smoker and you like unflavored tobacco blunts, this is your product. And if you want the thinnest but still rollable blunt wrap, you ought to check out their Duds. They don't make the cut for their other cigar packs because they're a little bit lighter and they are a little bit thinner. But that's actually nice if you barely like blunts, because then you're not really smoking as much tobacco when you're dealing with the darker broadleafs that they're offering in their other packs. And it's tiered too. So like the black packs are a little more expensive than the Havanas, and the Havanas are a little bit more expensive than the Duds. The thing about Brothers Broadleaf is they're not widely distributed. So I actually order mine online because I'm in Oregon and they don't have any distributors in Oregon. I think the nearest cigar shop that has Brothers Broadleaf to me is in like Chico, California, and I'm not going to make that drive. But their website's super easy to use. So if you're going to smoke blunts, and you shouldn't smoke blunts, they're bad for you. But if you are going to smoke blunts, it should be Brothers Broadleaf. If you'd like to give Uncle Dig stuff for free, send an email to uncledig4@gmail.com.